Hey, Storytelling Ryan. I'm going to talk about creating games in Dark Ages, but also just about this issue of blasphemy. Is playing a Christian RPG blasphemous or whatever? So, saying the Lord's name in vain, it's really important to understand. In vain means, right, you're just throwing it off. You're arrogant. You're saying it purposely to not care. And as a Christian, we say Jesus quite a bit in a lot of different ways. We invoke the Holy Spirit, we invoke God for many things in our life that are kind of mundane and unnecessary. I mean, I want to do better on this test. I really, I'm just, whatever, I just came up with that. Help me find my car keys. I mean, most of us probably don't do that, I hope. But to me, another way I believe that's in vain is saying the Holy Spirit led me to do this. I'm like, really? Anyway, not to go anywhere with it. But the only message you need from God is, he wrote a book. Here it is. It's a book in sheepskin. He wrote a fancy, expensive sheepskin. He wrote a book. So you don't, if you're wondering who God is, or is God telling you to do this or telling you that? What kind of book right here? He's already told you what to do. Evangelize and church plant. The New Testament is all about evangelizing and church planting. I mean, shoring up each other, your faith in fellowship. Shoring up your faith in fellowship. How do you do that? Well, you got to talk about Christ, don't you? You got to talk about it the right way and the wrong way. How are you going to learn if you don't talk about Jesus? Even in your saying, the Holy Spirit led me to this. You're going to say the wrong things about your Christ, but that doesn't mean you're saying it in vain. That doesn't mean you're blaspheming. It just means you're working on it. You're working on your faith outwardly, right? You got to articulate. Fellowship requires you to talk about the Lord. Talk about your faith. Talk about the faith. Talk about Christianity. And talk about it amongst others. In fellowship. Are you doing that? You have that's what the New Testament, all the letters, all of that is about that. Fellowship, ministry, and church planting. And helping people. I mean, that's the secondary wonderful thing about it. Helping people. Risking your life, laying down your life for people. Those are the tertiary things because of your faith in Christ. And that's the thing. If you don't have faith in Christ, you're not really going to do all those other things. I'm going to do them for your gain, for your selfish gain, for your profiting, for your desire to be a hero and be worshipped or adored. You'll do it in that vein, but you're not going to do it in the true sense of sacrifice. That the Lord came and sacrificed himself in this world for us. And I call it a matrix, just to use that term, just to kind of the immediacy of it. God created this matrix, this computer game, this setting, and he came down to say, yes, I understand what you're going through. I'm going to go through it with you and suffer and be the most innocent of all and suffer and die, and so that and then be resurrected and prove to you that, hey, you're going to make it through it, no matter how horrible it is, just like I have. And I'm showing you, and I'm going to get it documented and written in a book and passed around so you know. But I'm not going to bludgeon you over the head with his glory, with my glory, Jesus Christ's glory. I'm going to give you I'm going to see how you, through a book that lies there, and see how you take that and work with God, God's message to you. Let's see what you do. But we have to talk about our faith, wrongly or rightly. And I want people to talk about their faith. I want people to talk about their faith, even if they're wrong. That's okay. And I do give people a hard time, I guess, because I'm so brusque and I don't have a filter. As another church member told me, I don't have a filter. But you have to. You need to talk about your faith wrongly. And even if you're wrong, you should talk about your faith. Because through fellowship, everyone will learn from it. The good and the bad of our faith. Keys here. Okay, so let me go through the Dark Ages, and now let me segue here into creating an adventure. And my point to bring it around then to my game is that I want a Christian role-playing game where you fellowship and talk about your faith and do it while you're playing the game, a role-playing game, because I love role-playing games and you do too, I'm assuming. So what is wrong with that? Why is that blasphemy? I get accused of that or questioned because of that by Christians, and I'm like, they'll do that to me, but then they will throw down Pathfinder or Warlocks in D&D or worshiping ancient ones or paganism or whatever, great fantastical dragons as cool. But as soon as they come near, smell what I'm doing, that bringing our faith into the game, using our faith where in games and stuff is suddenly I'm going to come out and just say it. I feel like I'm exposing their sacred cow. I feel like I'm exposing their little safety fun thing they get to for frivolity that they really could use in their faith, but they just don't want to. They, me, whoever, you, me. The kind of vitriol or attacks I get are very like sudden and reactionary. All the while they're playing and promoting paganism. Then play a pagan. Teach your kids how to play a pagan. Talk about these gods and this this fantasy lore and these fandom sites and how wonderful that stuff is. All the while never teaching or talking about your faith or the church history or talking to your kids about faith in a way that they can actually use it. Instead, they're going to know more about the Faerun gods, or I don't know what's in Pathfinder. They're going to know more about warlocks than they are about clerics or clergy. I don't know. I love this game, and I'm going to stick with this game for the rest of my life. I have no desire to play any of the other games. The rules are the same. I mean, the same game mechanics. And fantasy, fantasy is created by us Christians. We created fantasy because the pagans don't believe. The pagans believe in it for real, for realsies. Elves, dwarves, giants, goblins are real religious things. They're real religious things. Pagans worship and give offerings to these. We Christians turn them into fantasy, into story, into fun stories because we are not threatened by them. We are not concerned by them. We are not, when a hurricane comes through a town, and hurricanes on the good and evil alike, we Christians know why. Because God said that's what he's going to do. The sun is going to shine on the good and evil. Pagans, when a hurricane comes in, they worship. They offer. They wonder. They try to make something of it in their messaging and their charlatanry or whatever. It's a con. It's a con on themselves and a con on others. We don't fear these foibles, these natural phenomena. The natural phenomena are just part of nature, and they're going to happen to the good and the bad. That's why we're able to write stories about all these elves and goblins and stuff. Now, pagans have glammed on to our fantasy. They have taken it over, and we Christians have obviously retreated from it. And I think to the detriment of the culture. We need to use all of these story elements. We need to take them all back and put them right in their faces and how horrible and evil they really are. And that's what my game is all about. It's about teaching your kids and you fellowship in Christianity and revealing and showing the evil patheticness of paganism. Every other role-playing game out there is pagan. Every other. And I would say, I'm not totally aware, but most of the Christian RPGs, I don't even know of any, a few maybe, or some that have given me, some that have told me they're Christian RPG ideas. None of them, and I'm putting this on you guys, none of you have said evangelism and church planting. I don't know, I'm reading through here, and I'm reading churches and church planting and fellowship. I'm not really reading like, oh, we're gonna do good things. We're good. We're gonna act Christian by doing good things. It's all about evangelism and church planting. So why? I don't understand. Like, I'm like, okay, I get it. I had a hard time figuring this out myself, but I just don't get it. I'm telling you what it is because I figured it out, and I'm whatever. The Holy Spirit helped me figure it out. I don't care. Why can't you get it through your thick skull, you Christians, that being a Christian is evangelism and church planting. Role-playing a Christian is evangelism and church planting. Telling a Christian story is evangelism and church planting. Preaching is about evangelism and church planting. Telling a story in the movies, in a TV show, in your Christian fantasy novel, it's about evangelism and church planting. That's what it's about. It's about the gospel, saying the gospel, doing the Great Commission. And if that's a prison to you, If you feel like that's constricting you, one, maybe you're not a Christian. Or two, hear me out, it isn't. It's really fun and really way more better. You get the D&D and the Pathfinder, but you get even more. It doesn't constrict you. It actually blows it out of the water. The games we're playing right now with people I have online, with the few people that are willing to jump in, we're like, this is cool. Like, I'm doing role-playing. I'm D&Ding, Pathfinder, whatever. I'm shadow darking if I want. But I'm doing more than that too. I get to do more. You get to evangelize in the game. You get to fellowship, and you don't have to do LGBT friendly. You don't have to comply to their pronouns, or you don't have to any of that. You don't have to. I don't have to. And I can get kicked out of conventions or whatever. I mean, I haven't been officially, but let's find out. But I can get kicked out or shut out, and I'm fine. They can throw some cool Star Wars thing at me and then put some trans story in there, and I don't have to watch it anymore. Done. You know? They're pushing the trans and the gays. Now they're pushing polyamory. Polygamy and polyamory on us. They're starting to put that in shows now. Group sex scenes and groups and whatever. So they're going. What are we doing? Why are we not evangelizing in everything that we do? And it's not a burden. I play computer games and watch shows, especially YouTube shows and stuff, that have nothing to do with Christ or evangelism. Okay? So, but that's when I shut my brain down, you know, when I just am ready to go to bed soon or whatever, you know. But a role-playing game, I know you guys need time to relax, you need time to chill, but it's not that hard, and it's not a burden. Don't look at evangelism as a perfection or sacred. It's not sacred. You're going to make mistakes, and that's okay. You're going to make mistakes while you're saying Jesus Christ. You're going to make mistakes, and that's okay. You're not saying it in vain. In vain is when you don't care, or you're being vicious or flagrant or flippant. We're having a good time, but we're fellowshipping. Fellowshipping has a good time to it. Eating food, laughing, fellowshipping is a joyous time, right? And so is role-playing games. It's a joyous time. And you should play a character that has flaws, you know, and you should make mistakes. And it's great when they do make mistakes, the players, as missionaries for the Lord in the game. I love when they make mistakes because it makes sense. The purest, greatest Christian missionaries make mistakes in their actual missionary work. What I don't like too is that we think that we have to be so perfect and sacred in our Christianity. We're not. We're flawed, and but the only way you can get better at something is by doing it over and over and practicing and drilling. And we're not even doing that. We don't even want to start because we don't want to, because we're being constricted by someone telling us we're blaspheming. What can I do then? Nothing. Here's D&D. I'm just tired and sick of the. I actually get more like the pagans are doing the right thing to suppress or ruin a Christian ministry like this. They just ignore it. They ignore it. Don't promote it. Don't put it on, which is fine. I totally accept that. I love that they ignore me. What Christians are doing is coming and then immediately insulting me or attacking me. I'm like, then I go follow them, and it turns out they're just promoting D&D or Pathfinder. That's their website, that's their channel. They just want to promote all these things that are promoting paganism. Here, kid, here, son, I want you to go to church on Sunday because I'm a godly man. But here, every other night, let us be pagans. You know, that is a huge problem back in the early church, in the hagiographies of the founding fathers of the church. That was a huge complaint they had about the Christians in their church. They had the saying was they had, eggs in many baskets. They'd go to church on Sunday, right? But they would lovingly and fun and entertainingly do their offerings throughout the week for the pagan spirits and gods that were in the neighborhood. So there you are. Oh God, I think there was a term for it. I gotta look that up. I'm going to start calling you guys that. I'm going to find out what that term is. There was a term I think that they used in the hagiographies I was reading. Boy, it's going to be hard to find it, all the stuff I've been reading. But they had a problem with the Christians that were just doing the eggs in all the different baskets. They'll go to church on Sunday. They'll do their little church things and do their church services and whatever it is the church needed. But then they would give to the pagan offerings too, at the local, on the corner road markings and where they passed by evil spirits story, ghost hauntings and stuff. They would make sure to give their offerings there too. All right. If you believe this is blaspheming, then go stay with your D&D and your Pathfinder. Go enjoy yourselves. That's fine. I'm good. I want to be separated. I want you to separate me from you, and from that, and from whatever it is that you want to do, and you hate that what I'm doing. I want you to not to be the part of this, and I don't care. I'm enjoying it, so whatever. And I'm very blessed in my life. I'm going to go do VBS here. I passed the sexual abuse course training, 100% pass. Did that, so I should be good. I don't know. Hopefully, they'll give me a mop, and I'll do something for the VBS. I'm doing the Strategicon to see if I can play some games with some families and teach them about having their kids say the gospel for the first time ever. Probably for the first time ever. If you and it's not on a Sunday either. It's out here in the real world, in a setting, obviously in a role playing setting. But they're gonna say it, and I get to be snide and snarky back at them, and then they gotta shore up their role play, and it's gonna change their lives. If you could get your children to pray about adventure, pray about being a knight, pray about playing a game or going on their next mission, what do you think that's gonna do with their real lives? If you think that that's gonna make them sinners and worse people, and that they should play D&D instead and play a warlock or a barbarian instead, and the girl should wield a battle axe and run around destroying things and getting treasure, okay, I guess you're the high and mighty person there, father, on that one. Yeah, I'm ranting because I get these weird, every now and then, snipes by Christians, and even Calvinists. And here's the thing: they don't even ask me. This is the real thing about it. The few that I've gotten, they don't even ask. They just immediately realize what I'm doing and then attack me. They don't even ask, well, is it this or that, or how does it work? I've never get that. And then I get some guys coming on and saying, oh, that's neat what you're doing, but I got a Christian role-playing game I want to do. Here's what it is. And I'm like, so I'm having a lame, tough time with Christians. The pagans, thankfully, are ignoring me, which is fine. The Christians, though, man, anyway. And the reason I'm saying it is because, and I'm going to start saying it more, those two things, idiots that claim I'm blaspheming, and then goofy guys that come in and say, oh, I got a Christian role-playing game I want to do. The reason I'm going to start saying this outwardly in this non-filtered way is because it's too often, and I'm getting tired of it, and I'm just going to shut it down as soon as I spot it. Because it's like, go waste your time. Go ahead. I'm going to fellowship and bring out the Lord and the gospel and the commission and church history all the time in my fun, silly joy. So, and I'm going to keep doing it because I just enjoy it, and it's part of my psyche now. Like, I will talk to people now in the way I think in this game. And I have. And I notice people don't want to talk to me anymore after I do that, which is fine. Saves me time. Neighbors. Yep. I do it now because it's like, it's just right there. It's right there in my mind. This stuff. Or I'm looking at my game on Foundry here. But the For the Lord RPG is on my mind now constantly. So when I talk to people, it's constantly, it just comes up. I don't think about Tiamat. I don't think about Tiamat or Vecna. I don't think about those. I don't think about Darth Vader or stormtroopers or lightsabers or whatever. I just don't think about that anymore. I don't care. I think about the Lord, and it's just, or whatever. It's right there in my mind. Okay, so let's do. I'm going to show you guys. There's my intro rant. Let's do Dark Ages. I'm going to do it like a podcast because I'm always listening to YouTube videos more than I watch them. So I'm going to try to do this like a podcast. But here's Foundry, where I really suggest getting Foundry, although the woke crap of Foundry is ridiculous. And they have a separate little input for pronouns. It's such a stupid compliance thing that's so annoying that the guy did, which is so like, give me a break, dude. And their Discord is filled with all those pronouns and rainbow colored. It's like, can I put a cross in there? Let's put a cross in there. I mean, why have a pronouns sign in part, which thankfully I can ignore, but it's right there. And it's like, why don't we just, someone that wants to push their LGBTQ sexual perverse agenda, they can just put their name and then put their pronoun, he, she, or whatever. He, she, it, Zach, Zoo, Zang. They don't have to have a separate little sub input, right? That has it there in front of your face every time player signs into the game or whatever. So that's pathetic. Anyway, the reason I like it though is it's $50, usually around Christmas, so they call it winter sale. Christmas, they take off 10%, or it's like $40 or whatever, and it's one time. That's it, and I've only paid once for it. They have some market stuff you can buy, like game settings and stuff, but I don't buy any. And there's a few free modules I use, and I'll do another video if you need to really look at. I've done a few, but you can always ask me to do another one. But what we have here is a village. I literally doodled out this village using the modular pieces, right? I would pop in all the pieces and just start arranging them like a puzzle, or like a, whatever, where I want things, and start coming up, with little ideas of what's where, right? Like in the center here is a fort sort of villa with the larger sort of Roman villa buildings. And I just repeat and use the same buildings, no big deal. Obviously down here are the docks on the left with boats. To the upper left is the sort of, I just put in more villas, but outside of the fortress, little hut buildings here, and I'm thinking that's a business. And then I've got a merchant row, or on the other side, on the top right, with a bunch of workers. And then to the far right, I've got like little bunkhouses, farmhouses with stockades, and I put the church in the middle between all of that, right outside the fortified area. And this is Lugano, by the way, and then to the right is the river. And then to the left, up the left is the forest, and which is beyond the map. But you could doodle this way and put down what you want, right? For Dark Ages. How, as a Christian, what do we do as a Christian role playing game? What are we doing? It's the same setting as stupid D&D and Pathfinder and Shadow Dark, whatever. It's the same thing. You put in different characters, different craftsmen and smithing, and what the characters are going to need, to go buy stuff to repair their things and all that. Over here is going to be the with the stockades and the farm. I made it a slave area, which I love how the pagans have kind of removed slavery from their adventures when it's the hugest part of medieval history, right? Slavery, and how Christians ended it. They ended it in the Dark Ages in Europe. They ended it, they ended it across the world, slavery, and of course now it's returning because paganism is returning. But human trafficking is bigger than ever because of the left, because of Democrats, because of pagans, because of the godless. So this is here. Obviously, you want to go as a Christian and try to end that, and I play all the slavers and the slaves and what their attitude is, and then here on the craftsman's row, each of these craftsmen have different agendas. I rolled that out in the Dark Ages book. There's sort of a list you can roll out and get stuff, and I have a 1 through 8 conversion level, so you can decide on what level of conversion they're at and how that affects their character. Like this guy is CL conversion level 8, means he's Christian, or if they haven't heard the gospel, then they're ready to be Christian because they know something good. They know in their heart something is out there, right? So that's what the rope maker is. And, and I did a little excerpt here of what, let me just read this bit. Slaves away for all the rest, the fishermen especially, making ropes and nets, working in a simple workyard. Tivig keeps his head down and does what he is told. He prays each night for the church to return. He lives in trepidation of all their plots and avoids confrontation. He doesn't know much. He, however, does have a prayer +2 +7 die ranks. So it's a pretty good prayer. And in his small home above the workyard with his wife and children, he will get an extra 3 DR bonus. So what he is if you could get to talking to him, he'll tell you a little, but not much. But if you could really get to talking to him as a Christian, he will give you a pretty awesome potential for prayer at his house. So that's like a bonus right there. That's like a neat thing, to have. And I made that up. I just thought, well, if he's there and he's his home and a rope maker, you could do that. And I rolled out that he was a rope maker, by the way, in my settings in my game or in the book. We got the weaponsmith. Let me go to the oil maker down here. Oil maker Og, and I rolled out that name, Og. Slave owned by tinsmith, which is the next building. So he's a slave because I rolled out his position in the economy, which is in the Dark Ages book. Oh, here, let me just pull out my Dark Ages book real quick. Where is it? Right here. I just want to get the name of for the chart I used. So, there's the village part of town activity. At the beginning of the Grand Minister's Guide, there's a non-player character encounter, and I have roll out their social standing. And yes, this oil maker can be a slave of another merchant. And then I roll out his name, obviously, is on the chart here. And then there's a professionalist D20 roll, and I rolled out he was the oil maker. And it made sense, like, oh yeah, he and when I knew that the other guy was a tinsmith, I'm like, oh yeah, the tinsmith will probably want a lot of oil, so he's got a slave over there doing the oil making. Og is loyal to tinsmith and works with him. His oil making is needed for the tinsmith, but he also handles sales of oils to customers and locals. If their precious pagan idle business is questioned, which is the tinsmith has, or threatened, they will seek plots to get rid of the Christians. They will pay and deny, even violently if confronted. Others get +2 die rank resist if working for the tinsmith. So these guys can hire bandits and everything else to go after the Christians. Now, the only way that would be triggered is if the Christians go up and talk to the tinsmith or oil maker, and then those two get together and say, yes, we must, send out some assassins or, bandits to go after them. And those guys will have a +2 die rank resist against, the Christians' evangelism. See? So all of these sort of things you can do. There's a full-on adventure right there. And yes, there's going to be killing. The Christians are going to have to kill. They're going to have to sell their cloak and something else, sandals or whatever, to buy a sword, right? Because Jesus is not here now. Jesus knows they're going to have adventure. They're going to have carry around swords. Sell their cloak and something else, sandals, to get a sword. Jesus told them. They had 2, and that was enough. He doesn't want all out war, but he wants you to be able to defend yourself. All right. So the tinsmith, patrician Fruida. So I rolled out this guy, right? Social standing 12, noble patrician class. Okay. Fruida, that's just the name I rolled out on the name naming the NPC, and then I rolled out that he was a tinsmith, which is probably one of the like the armor, blacksmith, tinsmith. So I said, oh, I'll do tinsmith, and then that that could be like a making idols or whatever. And he is conversion level 1. I rolled a D8, came up a 1. So he's evil, violent, skullduggery, +5 die rank resistance to any kind of evangelism, so that he'll get even, And if he resists, he can never be saved. So if he actually succeeds, he will be permanently evil, which he pretty much is, and must be forced to submit or worse. You have to probably kill him in the end. So conversion level 1, evil, violent, skullduggery. So he's not going to suddenly come out and attack you like a violent barbarian or something, but he's going to, as soon as you offend him, he's going to begin the process of getting you murdered or killed, right? So that's going to be that trigger. As soon as you offend him, if they just do business with him, he's not going to just come out and be violent to them, but he's ready, And he's got remember, he hates Christians, obviously, and he's got +1 die rank pagan trinkets. So he can make a pagan trinket and give it to his followers, and they'll have another. So that's kind of like magic. They'll have another resistance to their being evangelized by the characters. Remember, the characters have preach, and they can try to preach to the bandits or whoever, even the tinsmith and the oil maker. Okay, so I'm trying to get across to you that you can make. It's not a mystery to create an adventure, totally like OSR, but then add this incredible layer of agenda, right, and motivations. And it helps too. I feel to me personally, it really guides me as a GM into the direction of where these plots and all these plots are all over the place. Okay, so he's got some magic here. The tinsmith +1 die rank pagan trinkets he can make. He'll give it to the bandits. Take these to protect you from the Christian ways. Totally makes sense, doesn't it? He gives them each a little tin pagan wolf skull looking thing or whatever it is. And I can even turn that into some cool storyline. Take these will protect you from the Christians and their magic, and their false words and their deception. See? And so they take them and they got +3 die rank resistance now. And so they're going to go and kill they're going to ambush them somewhere on the road or wherever, whenever I find an opportune moment to ambush them, then I'll put them on there. Okay. So that's kind of like that's how you do it. I mean, it's not that hard. Once you break the glass ceiling, it's like, oh, I can do dragons, giants. I can do elves, which, not like I wouldn't do Tolkien elves. I'm talking about elves in the sense of Earth. And the reason I'm sticking with Earth, especially, the reason I personally think you should stick with Earth, at least for starters, is because I don't want to change the Bible. I don't want to change it. I want to keep it, adhered to the Bible. Because this Christianity in a role-playing game, for me, you, in the culture, is in its infancy. So, and I beg you not to go off and create a different world or a fantasy world and then put Christian morals in it. That's not Christianity. That's paganism. Pagans want you to do that. Pagans want you to make a Christian fantasy where you take away Christ and Jesus. You take away Jesus Christ and God and the Holy Spirit and then create the niceties of Christianity. They love that. They will gobble you up on that. Sure, that's fine. We don't need that. We need the Bible. Boom. We need Jesus in the stories. And this, you can do it. It's not a burden. It's fun. I don't know. I feel like when I say it's fun, you're like, no, it can't be fun. No, I don't want to hear it. I was cupping my ears there. It's like, come on. Ooh, I don't want to reveal something over here in case the guy I know listens to this will know what I'm talking about. All right. I want to go. This is something incredible that happened. We had this game. I did this. This is the game I did, and they had a lot of little adventures. They fought the gladiators. They've encountered the I got different people. Look, I got Ilriath, the perfumist. But I rolled this out. In the Dark Ages thing. She over here in another place. They went and talked to her and kind of learned some things, and I played her out. I role played her out. Ilriath. I made that. The name came from the generator. The perfumist. She is okay. She's alchemist, perfumist. I rolled that out. Healing, socials, tools, shop, medical kits, perfumes, handsome. The stuff she works on. She speaks with the dead, necromancer, delver. Okay. How did I get that? I think I rolled that out in the pagan activity. Let me see. There's a chart here where you can roll the style, family-friendly paganism. I think I rolled in there like the style or theme or flavor of her paganism. And then that gave me the idea for speak with dead, necromancer, delver. And she uses her perfumes for rituals, but she's also into beauty. Witches do all kinds of things. But check this out. Her conversion level is a 6. And I don't know if I rolled 2d8 and picked the lowest or just rolled d8 and said, because she could, people who don't have the word could be really crazy. And then once they hear the word, they just immediately want to convert. So conversion level 6. She believes she is doing good using white magic. That's actually historically and even modernly the norm. She has strong will concerning it, but will openly allow for debate. She may be ready for the truth. Okay? So she doesn't have any resistance to conversion, and she's really close. If you beat her, you can move that up to 7, 8, based on you all. Okay. She knows of the vile witches in the forest and marsh and their possible ploys. She hates them and believes they give witches a bad name. A well-rounded boutique store for the influential circles across the region. Wealthy women give her patronage. She has an amazing collection of ingredients, mostly of plants, avoiding the rustic look of animal ingredients. She does fortune-telling of ancestors and has a lot of knowledge about the merchants in the area. She learns much from the various visitors, gleaning rumors about them all, using it for her speak with dead rituals. This I put together with how I was creating her with these roles in my book. Okay, in the Dark Ages one, sells 2d12 denarii price up to d4 each. What does that mean? What is she selling? Oh, healing ointment. Okay. Healing ointment plus the next thing down. Sells 2d12 denarii price, up to d4 each of healing ointment. I should probably format this. Healing ointment plus d6 vitality heal. So just one healing ointment that does that. Healing tonic, -1 die rank relief from afflictions, wounds, last 1 day, cannot be increased. Penalty is still there. Okay, so a healing tonic, that will relieve you 1 die rank of your affliction or wound, but only for a day. So you got to like either take the next healing tonic or get back, but it's whatever. It's a minor. I probably should just mean one die rank heal, for the wound, but whatever. In gameplay that would just be better than having sort of a duration and then it returns. But whatever. Ilirath is a character that they went and talked to. That was interesting. They talked to Grocer Lord Tibius, who's actually a Christian. He's a CL. Conversion level 8, hardcore Christian, Lombardy noble member. So I rolled out. He was a noble, and he's a hardcore Christian, and some other stuff there. And he actually helps them a bit. So a really cool town adventures happening here. But I want to say something about this adventure. So I want to give out, it's a private party game or whatever, just for the sake of just them just wanting to be a family and do it. But here's the thing. One of the people that played is a pastor, and he's never, ever, ever played a role-playing game. That barely even knew what a D&D was. Barely. Here's one of the first comments he said when I finally got them to join the game, technical difficulties and all that. He looked at this, and so one of the other players was like, well, you want to do a prayer? And he looked at this, and he said, I don't pray to cartoons. That's what I had to go up against. And I talked to the other player about it later. Woo! I was like, okay, this is a pastor. Baptist pastor. From the South. Total accent. Southern accent. So that's where I'm going with this. Could you, in your Christian faith, do that? Go up to a pastor, have him play, and the first thing he says for a 3-hour session is, I don't pray to cartoons. And he's looking at this, and he's seeing this on his screen with the tokens and the characters here as their party here, and they're at this little church. This is what he's saying. One of the players says, "Could you pray for us?" Because they knew the rule about praying and getting bonuses, and his response was, "I don't pray to cartoons." So he's basically saying, he doesn't blaspheme. Okay. So I have been doing this. I am not burdened. I don't have any fear anymore for the Lord. I'm not afraid. I kept playing the game with them after he said that, and just kept going. At the end of 3 hours, he said something else. He said, Can I go into town and get something out other than this knife? That was his response at the end. And in the game, this pastor prayed and evangelized. He evangelized the character, the different characters or whatever, the NPCs. This is the adventure they went on. I'm switching over to another map here. This is a big marsh area. And I'm just going to go this really quickly, but I just want to explain something to you. To teach you about GMing a Christian role-playing game. I've had 2 pastors now, full-time pastors play this game, and both have, the other one is all in. I'm going to probably play with his sons this summer, and I hopefully will do the Apocalypse one again. And hopefully I recorded the first one, but we had so many technical difficulties, and it was a very slow start. But by the end, both his sons said the gospel in the game, and I think probably for the first time in their lives. And he's a pastor, and so I think he wants to try to do it again this summer. Try have a little session with me again. We'll see, but I hope they just start their own games. But anyway, this is this game where I had a pastor play, and anyway, so my point being, I'm not afraid anymore to do this. I'm not afraid to do this to whomever, whatever, however. I'm fine with this, and if these 2 pastors can role play and see what this is about. And when I told them about the women don't get to just wield battle axes and roll around. They have that support type gameplay. They assist the man in what they're doing, in the risks they're taking. And the women in this game are so active and participatory and know what they got to do. And they get crossbows, they get to shoot, But they discovered, I'm just going to give you the plot of this here. because this is like really the plot of almost every pagan plot in this game, and you can roll it in the Dark Ages. But in essence, the locals here at this fisherman wharf here gave an offering to a witch at this animal totem thing here on the dock. They gave her these offerings of fresh caught fish, coins, whatever, and she would come and take it and say, "This will be the offerings to the dragon of the lake, or the dragon in the marsh." Okay, what was it called? It was called something. Obviously you see here the token is a crocodile, but it was a dragon to them, and I have a name for it on the game, but whatever. It came from the Vaya or something. I don't know, like a nymph type of spirit, evil spirit name, water spirit name. But you can name it, anything, because they had. I have a pagan historian book here, and the guy says they had names for everything. So you can make up a name as in your hagiography, history, church history of medieval. You can make up anything you want as far as like evil spirits and stuff. Tying them in with elves, dwarves, giants, dragons, and all that. But locals always had funny names and different names for different evil spirits that they gave offerings to. Go to church on Sunday, play Pathfinder D&D during the week. Or give offerings to pagan spirits during the week. That's what they did, and so the fishermen, you're up here in the left corner, left because the Christians here upset the witch came to get the offerings. Here's her little hidden token, but she came to get the offerings, and then the Christians, confronted her and tried to evangelize and insulted her, and she got upset, and then so she left and cursed them. The dragon will come and curse you. And the fishermen are like, oh, they left. They're angry at the Christians, right? Because the Christians are causing trouble. You see that how this works? This is teaching Christians too what's going to happen. The locals got angry at the Christians, not the witch. And we Christians need to learn that, and the kids need to learn that. And the Christians are confronting the evil of this offering to this dragon spirit, but they're now the bad guys, and thusly we Christians need to understand that in today's world too, and the kids need to understand that. And think of your kids playing this. They're trying to give the gospel to her. They're trying to tell her to come away from this evil thing. And she's, I got a couple little slogans or things I'd say, prepare. You can do that too as a GM. You can come up with when the witch has like little sayings and stuff, or little things that they do and don't care, and they have a resistance roll, or you may have decided they're just permanently never going to be converted. You can decide that as a GM. So the fisherman left, and this is the pastor. I don't pray to cartoons. He's like, oh, what yeah. And he understood this story. He understood what was happening. He understood that there's a grift going on here. The pagans are doing a grift. Yeah, he got it, and they got it. His wife got it, whatever, the people. So it turns out that she returns late at night and drops off a floating bag that was a bait bag, a bag that drew in the croc. Okay, and they discovered that. And so that was it. They loved that this is a grift. The witch is doing a grift. She's drawing in with this sort of foul bait bag, and I use this a lot, or drugs. She the witches and the sorcerers will draw in the beast or whatever, or pay off the bad villains or whatever to play the demons or whatever. However you want to do it, you can have deformed men, giants, play demons, or they have a trained mutant rats or primordial beasts that they've trained to be the demons, or you could even have demon possessed. I don't mind you going there with evil spirits and stuff, because we believe in that. But it's sort of the same sort of plot line over and over. It's the whole Scooby-Doo. If it wasn't for you dang Christians, I would have gotten away with it. So they end up fighting this dragon at this epic finale. I couldn't ask for a better 3-hour, because it took them 3 hours to get here, and all the other things that they did. It was kind of amazing how much stuff that they actually did, and they finally got here and did this. And decided to do this, and having that finale of this scary late night dragon coming to them, and they discovering the bag and the bait, and realizing as they dragged it, what it was, and then the dragon coming, and them preparing. These boats, by the way, were over here at the dock. They dragged them up as a defensive. Oh my gosh, we gotta get ready to defend ourselves, and something's gonna come. So it was a wonderful experience, and for him to say at the end, because he used up his faith points. And so he had to then run in and use his knife, which was kind of funny. And then at the end, he's like, "Can I get something more than a knife in this game? Is that possible?" And I'm like, yes, you can go in and buy, Okay, so, sorry. Uh, that's it. Did you understand what I'm saying about being a Christian RPG? You create the stories of our past, in a silly, funny way. Playing and saying Jesus in this game is absolutely the norm. Otherwise, we can't have Bible story books. We can't have comics that relate the Bible. We can't have shows that talk about Jesus. I don't understand. If you're saying I can't do it in a role-playing game where it's not sacred, then you don't watch any Christian programming at all, correct? You just watch church service. You don't watch any, The Chosen or a show of a Christian family or, anything like that, because not everything we do is correct or absolutely sacred to the Bible. Not even The Chosen. The Chosen has made up parts and portrayals and stuff. So, edited for or cut down for whatever, entertainment reasons or editorial, whatever. So that's what we're doing. And hagiographies of the church fathers are all sort of, embellishments or written accounts, but done by somebody else of what the monks did. And there's an account in there of a monk calling to Christ to subdue 2 dragons in a cave. So is that blasphemy by writing about Jesus Christ? But he's giving his life over to Christ. Well, what am I doing? I'm giving my life over to Christ. I'm giving my whole game over to Christ. And yes, we can't get paid for it. The monks got paid for what they did. They had to eat and make a living. I'm sure they didn't get paid very much, but they did certainly do what they did. And I'm trying to get paid for it too, because getting paid really encourages someone to do more. And at our church, we constantly paying each other for doing things. Everyone has something. They are always in the sermon. They at the beginning will have a book for sale, based that coincides with the sermon at the Pastor John MacArthur's Grace Community Church. In the Grace flyer, they have a book there every time for sale based on the teaching or whatever. And sometimes the pastors will mention it or whatever that book is at that time. But what I'm doing is trying to get every one of you and me to have the psyche of evangelism in the game, in the game of role-playing games, so that you have it in life and your kids will have it and they will see stuff like this and know pagans are grifters. They'll do this kind of grift with a dragon and crocodile. They'll do it in town with the tinsman here, and the oil maker, selling pagan trinkets and encouraging people to go do vile things. They'll do it with the gladiators, and you got to kill and fight to kill for entertainment purposes. They ended up saving one and converting him. Blah blah blah. I'm going to do one last thing here and show you. I was going to talk about something, but I don't know what I'm talking about. I'm just going all over the place. In another map here, I want to show one other thing. I'm going to start, just so you know, trying to make simple one-shot ideas for you so you can get a grasp of this, I guess, even more. Let's see, which one am I? I'm looking for a little town here. I think it's Agnio. It doesn't look like it. No, not that one. I've got a bunch of little towns here, man. It's totally cool. Okay, Ravio. No, not Ravio. Darn it, it's another one. Aragno, which I think is said wrong, but this is it. Okay, this is a little village in a valley between 2 other villages, and here's a little one shot right here. And this church could be at any village. You could plop down a church at any village setting you want, and you just tell the players this could be a one shot. Oh, we want you to go to this church and help this monk, help the brother there. He seems to be having problems. Brother Etherhide is the one I have here. Oh, I don't even have more. Anyway. Okay. So as you can see, there's a church building, one brother, and underneath is a cellar with 2 tombs, whatever. And I'll explain it more in a minute. Now the village, obviously you can put any kind of village you want. This is the village I have here, but you can do whatever. You can do a small settlement, a couple buildings. Everyone though is making fun of Brother Etherhard or whichever name you roll on the chart. And he is suffering because I'll just tell the whole plot. And it's very simple. The church is infested with rats. Thusly, all the pagans in the area are not going to church. They think the gods, the pagan gods are punishing, right? the church. And the Christian church is a weak God. The child God, the boy the God, the sacrifice God, or whatever, is yes, I can play blasphemers in the game. I have no problem with it, because you got to teach, for crying out loud. You got to teach. So I have these blasphemers and pagans, whatever, mocking and scoffing the church, and the brother, he's devastated. I could make him drinking all the wine. He's a drunk, whatever. I don't know. You roll and you can kind of decide how strong or weak his faith is with the 1 through 8. Although I wouldn't, if he's 1, I wouldn't say violently evil. I would just say he's really messed up and drunkard and messed up. You got to beat him and wake him up out of his, fallen faith or whatever. Well, so what's truly happening, the plot, is that there is an old mine underneath the church, and the witch over here in the cave mines is brewing a steroid growth hormone for the rats. See? And there's a well here, as you can see in the mines, where a big mother monster rat is trapped in the mine underneath the church, and they feed it, and it constantly makes baby rats. See? Look at that adventure. Now you got the witch, she's a baddie. You got the the cult warriors that are baddies. You got some loot here, so if they win that, they can enrich the church and get, treasure. There's a whole mine here to find. Coming down into the dark, fighting the warriors, and then discovering this giant rat beast hit in this cave, foul smelling. They got to resist against the foul smells, fall down this tunnel well, or climb down it, and they got to clear out the rats. And the rats are coming through a small hole or crack up into the church and infesting it. There's your one shot. Okay. Now this mine here could be a little quicker and simpler, or more. You could even add more to it if you want. Then what I've done here is very simple. Just it. And the way, how do they find out about the mine? Could they find it from Brother Mehart? If you want to get the story going on quickly, maybe they have to go out to the villagers, and you could roll their little conversion levels and who they are. And I would roll 2d8 mine. Pick the lowest because of or give them some sort of penalty because the church is infested with rats. So all the people are very down on the church, so in that sense. But one thing that they need to get out of them, hopefully that'll trigger what's going on, is that there's a mine somewhere. All this place is riddled with mines. There's a mine nearby. Aha. Now, I will say the first encounter is to go into the basement and see the rat, and the rats attack, right? And then they come out of this hole that they can't climb down. It's too small. Just these small holes or whatever. They could do some sort of really high roll and sense that there's something bigger down there. It must be a cave system. Or, they could come up with that, and then, they can go around and ask, and, oh yeah, these are places, mines. There's a mine over there, blah, blah, blah. So you could create a long campaign story or a really short one where they discover the mines pretty quickly and then go in and fight the bad guys, and then fight. If it's a one shot, one night, I would probably do just the witch and a couple of minions, and then the rat. And that's it, because two fights is probably enough. Because they're gonna do a lot of talking too over here, and probably in the village. So I would keep it pretty simple. But there's your one shot right there. You can make this a long. I made this a 3. I think I've role played this where this whole town. See over here on the left, I created a little totem with a little ritual area, so I could have had another side story if I wanted. But I don't think I ever delved into that one. But I know I've done this area with the church and the mine, and they've had to deal with the locals here. I made a merchant guy and a barbarian toughie with him. And again, you can keep it simple. Only a few buildings with a few encounters. It could be just a small area. So that's a Christian adventure. There isn't actually even any much evangelism in this adventure, right? It's just an investigation, and it's about fortifying the church, which is another part of Christianity, is helping to shore up or fortify or encourage a brother and get the church, replanted and reestablished. So they see, they could try to convert these warriors here, but they would be attacking pretty immediately if they came into the mines, right? It would be a fun combat to the death, whatever. And the witch, just so you know, she has ag is an older trait, but this is prowess of 1. Just because I figure she's in the mines, she probably has a little bit of prowess. Awareness 2, salve -1. That should probably be higher because she's brewing, but whatever. Spirit 4, intelligence 3, society 5. She has a staff +1, d6 damage, parry +1 if used to defend herself. She's actually really weak, right? I don't have much going on here with her. I feel like this is little. I feel like I do have more than this, but I'm just not going to go on it down. But she does have a ladle attack. Yeah, this is definitely not it. I'm missing. Oh no, where is it? Let me pause and find it real quick. Darn it, I can't. Well, this was the adventure. You can see it's all cleared out here. The people are all around, but I can't find the witch. I know she had some like ladle attack and spraying them or whatever. The rat beast has a screech, so everyone has to do a save versus a 12 or be at -d4 or -1 die rank. This is a little older. This game, but I can't find it. But anyway, that's something simple you can do for the Dark Ages, for anything, for any setting. And I just think that you keep it simple, keep it pagan. I don't do heresies, the heresy type things yet, because I feel like it needs to be studied a lot more. But at the same time, I don't know if it's even necessary, because there's so much to do with paganism that we haven't even tapped yet. It's so big and broad. And I also don't do. Recently I got someone talking about doing like corrupt Templars, but I don't want us to do like church history where we're attacking Crusades, Inquisition, witch trials, and Templars and Hospitaliers. Those to me were all noble Catholic functions that happened, and I think the history has been rewritten on those so that they sound vile and corrupt and evil, and I don't believe that at all. And I don't think that we should be putting that in our stories as well, because we're falling for their trap of those, I think, deceptions. I think there's plenty of evil in Islam. There's plenty of evil in paganism. I don't think that we should be going after Islam simply for the fact of your safety, my safety or whatever. Not because I want to take a knee to terrorism. I'm certainly critical of Islam, and openly so. But I just don't. I want to focus on one group right now because of the. To me, Islam is not as strong as you and I think it is, or fear that it is with the terrorism and how the Hollywood and everyone else bows to them and easily will villainize Christians and the old Catholic Church, the history of the Catholic Church and what it's endeavored to do for Christendom. It's so easy and safe to villainize Christianity and the Catholic Church. So easy, so safe. Villainize terrorism and jihad and Islamic brutal slavery and all that. Nope, they'll take a knee to that. The reason I don't think we should do that right now is because the entire reason that Islam is strong is because we are allowing paganism to weaken us. Paganism and the left and Democrats and socialism and Marxism is weakening our Christian faith and our Christian backbone in the culture. That is why Islam and anything else is coming up and exploding in our culture. Is because we are allowing it because we're acting pagan. We're being pagans. We're not fighting them with Jesus Christ. We're fighting them with, hey, you gotta be good and do good and be good and go along to get along. Let's not bring Jesus into it. No, you gotta bring Jesus into it. So that's why I want us to focus on this, rebuking paganism, bringing Christ into your stories, openly, brazenly, the gospel, so that you will do that everywhere in your life, easily, very enjoyably, and then Islam can be confronted or met head on with no problem. Okay, then that's my rant for today. In the game of life, everybody, in your game of life and my game of life, let's roll holy dice.